Guys, today I'm going to talk about how to create Angular 8 CRUD operations, and after that I'm going to integrate this Angular 8 CRUD operations with the Spring Boot application, and after that I'm going to create a data table in Angular 8. So this is the example I'm going to demonstrate in this video. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to create Angular 8 CRUD operations, and after that I'm going to create Spring Boot project. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so first of all, let me create Angular project. So this is my command prompt. So let me create ng new Angular 8 API. Okay, so it will take like a couple of seconds to generate this project. So it's asking for routing, so I need routing. So click yes, and so you can choose the option. So if you are going to use CSS, you can choose CSS, or some other options are also available. So it's going to generate the project. So let's wait for that. So it successfully generated the project. So this project I'm going to import into Visual Studio Code. Let me open. So it's open. So let me open the terminal. So now I'm going to create components. So I'm going to create the CRUD operations, right? So that CRUD operations related components I'm going to create here. So ng g for generate, c for component, and I'm going to create the component inside this employee directory. Employee create employee. So it's generated, and I need two more operations. One is for update the employee, and one more operation is employees list. So these are the components I'm going to generate here. So these three components successfully generated in my project. So let me open this app. So these are the components is successfully generated here. Now, so I need to create an employee, and I need to create employees list, and I need to update these employees. So I will do it one by one. So first of all, I'm going to create the employees, and before I'm going to create the employees, we need a model object. So let me create one more directory. So that is model. So inside the model, I'm going to create our model object, that is employee model.ts. So export class employee, and I'm going to take this fields ID. So ID type is number, and I need a name, so that is string, and I need a phone number, and email, I need a email, so that is string, and I need a phone, so that phone number is a number, and finally I need a department, employee department, so that department I'm going to take as a string. So our model class is ready now, and we need a API response to use inside our service class. So let me create API response as well, API response.ts. So let me create export class API response, and so this API response will have few fields. One is status, so that status is number, and I need a message, that message also is number, and finally we need a result. Okay, so that result type is any. So that's it. So our model classes is ready now, and we need a service class. So that service class will have like all the CRUD operations that I'm going to create. So let me create the service as well. So ng g for generate, s for service, and inside service directory I'm going to create employee service. Okay, so that's it. So it's going to create the service inside our service directory. So it's created successfully. So let me open this service class. Okay, so this service class will have all the operations. So let me copy this service operations because it's going to take like a lot of time. So to save this time, so I'm just copying this service operations. Okay, so let me explain. Okay, if we need to import this API response, so let me import API response here. Import from, so where is the, yeah, inside our model it's available, right? So source app model, and we have API response, right? So let me import API response. So that's it, and we need a HTTP client. Let me import that HTTP client as well. So import so yeah, okay, so we need an employee. Okay, let me import employee as well. So import, because employee also is available inside this model class, so that is the reason. So this is employee model class, so which is available inside our model directory. So that's it guys. So what I'm doing is, so we have, so get employees, get employee by id, and create employee and update employee. So these are the CRUD operations that I'm going to create inside this Angular 8. So get employees will have observable, so which will return the API response. So based on this URL, so this URL is related to our Spring Boot project. Okay, and after that we have a get employee by id, so it will take like id as parameter, and so it is going to return the observable any response. So here we have HTTP get operations for the get employees and get employee by id. So if you want to create the employee, so you have to use the HTTP post method, so which will take parameter as employee, and it will return the observable API response. And same thing we have update employee, so which will take two parameters, one is id, another one is employee. So this is a put operations because we are going to update the employee, so that is the reason it's a update employee. And we have a delete employee, so which will going to take parameter as id, so depends on that employee id we are going to delete the that employee. So this is a HTTP delete method. Okay, so these are the four operations that I'm going to create, and I'm going to use this employee service inside our employee Typescript file. So our employee service is ready now. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to create the employee. So we have four fields inside this employee service class. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to create that four fields inside this HTML file. Okay, so let me take, so we have, so name, email, and phone, and department. So we have ng model to a data binding, okay, and we have form group. So inside that form group we have form controls. So that's it, simple. We have one simple button to submit our action. And finally we need a TypeScript file. So that TypeScript file will have the action related logic. So let me write the code. Private, we need employee service, right? Employee service, employee employee service, and we need a router. Okay, so we need to import employee service here. So let me import employee service, import, employee service from. So the employee service is available in source, yeah, and inside service we have employee service. So that's it. So our employee service is successfully imported. Now, so let me create that function called onSubmit, because we have a onSubmit button inside our HTML form. So whenever we are going to click on this submit button, so it's going to call this onSubmit button. So that's onSubmit button logic I'm going to write inside this TypeScript file. That's it, onSubmit. So now we need to initialize employee class. So let me initialize employee class, employee equal to new employee. Okay, that's it. So we have initialized this one, and we have one more field, that is hidden field. Okay, so that hidden field is submitted. So we have to initialize that hidden field as well here. So let me initialize submitted equal to false. So whenever we are going to click on that button, so then only we are going to initialize that submitted as true. So let me initialize that value submitted equal to true. Okay, so that's ready. So now I'm going to call our employee service, and inside our employee service we have a create employee method, so that will expect employee argument. So this dot employee, sorry, so this dot employee, and I'm going to subscribe to get the data. Okay, let me subscribe this one, and we have data. Okay, so this data I'm going to print here, and so let me check error as well. So this error also I'm going to print on the console. So if any error is occurred, so I'm going to print that error as well. Okay, so that's it. Now, so let me initialize our employee. So this dot employee equal to we have employee and new employee. That's it. Okay, we have successfully created this onSubmit button, and finally, like whenever we are created that employee, so we have to navigate this to employees list. So this dot router dot navigate. Okay, so this will have, let me write employees navigation here. So that's it, our onSubmit has been successfully created. Okay, now so our TypeScript file and HTML file is ready. Now we need a bootstrap to check this one. Okay, so let me create the bootstrap. First of all, let me initialize bootstrap. So npm install ngx-bootstrap and bootstrap save. So let me save this. Okay, so it's going to initialize the bootstrap in our project, and after that I'm going to use this bootstrap in our project. Okay, it's going to take like couple of seconds. Now I'm going to add this bootstrap related files in our Angular.json file. So because we have different ways to add this bootstrap and we can use, but I'm going to use this Angular.json file. So inside that we have styles and scripts. So here I'm going to write this. So we will have this bootstrap.min.css file, and we have jquery.min.js file, and we have bootstrap.min.js file. So these are the two JS files, and one is bootstrap CSS file. So let me save this. So it's ready now. Bootstrap is ready now. So we are going to use this bootstrap. So our create employee is ready, and what we need to do is we have to create the routing module. So inside that routing module, so we have to add the path related to our employee components. So let me open this. So here we need to add path. I'm going to add, and let me write the component. So that component will have create employee component. Okay, so that's it. Now we need a navigation HTML related component. Okay, so that navigation related thing we have to add it inside our app component.html file. Okay, and so here I forgot to add one more thing. Here we need to add path and we have to add redirected to this is an employee, so it's going to redirect to our employee, and we need to add path match. So that path match will have full. Okay, so let me add comma. So that's it, it's ready guys. Let me save this. So inside this app component.html, so we have to add this routing related path. So these are the bootstrap related classes that I have added here. So we have list of items. So inside that list of items we have links. So that is, so whenever we will click on that add link, so it's going to call this add path, so which are added in our app module.ts file. So not in app routing module.class file. Okay, so we have added this add component classes. This class will be called when you click on that navigation link. So that's it. Okay, so let me save this and run this project. So ng serve. Yeah, before we are going to run this project, we need to add inside this app module.class, So we have a employee service, right? So let me add this employee service inside this providers, and we need to add HTTP client module. So whatever that modules are there, so that modules we have to import inside this app module.ts file, and we have forms module as well. So that forms module we are using. So let me import this forms module. Import from Angular. So we need Angular forms. Okay. So this is forms module. So that's it. So we have successfully added these two modules. So let me start the application and just serve. Go for open. So initially it's going to take few minutes because it has to be load like all the properties, because it is saying that the jQuery does not exist. Okay. So we have, yeah, install the bootstrap, right? So let me install. So I forgot to run this jQuery. So we have to install that jQuery as well. Okay, so let me install this jQuery as well. So it will take a couple of seconds. Okay, it's added successfully. Let me check this now. Okay, now we are able to see this bootstrap effect. So that is, we have added the title, that is Angular 8 API, and we have a button add employee. So let's click on this. So now we are able to see this name, email, phone, and department. So these are the text fields that we have added in the HTML field. Okay, so now I'm going to create the list of employees table. We have created successfully create employee. So now let me create employees list. So open this Visual Studio Code, go to this employee directory. Here we have a employee list. Okay, so this employee list, so first of all, like, let me add route navigation. So to do this, so let me open this app component.html. So inside that I'm going to add one more list. So that is employees. So whenever you will click this employees, so it will navigate to that particular component. So let me add employees in route navigation. So employees. So this is employees list component. Okay, so that's it. So let me check this whether it's working or not. So we have a, sorry, I forgot to change that name. So let me go to this app component.html file. So this is employees list. Okay, save this and let's test this. We have employee list. Click this. So we got the output employees list works. Okay, so this navigation and routing is working perfectly now. So let me open this employee list component.html file. So inside that we have to add this HTML code for this list. So this is employees list HTML file. So we have table here. Okay, so this table will have table headers, so this is employees list HTML. So we have tables. So in this table we have headings and we have body. So in this body I'm going to use this ng for to iterate this employees, and I'm just printing that employees information by using this ng for loop. And we have two buttons. One button is delete the employee, another one is updating the employee. So whenever you click on this delete employee function, so it's going to delete the employee. So that logic I'm going to write inside this Typescript file, and the same thing for updating the employees as well. I'm going to write this logic inside this Typescript file. So it's very pretty straightforward. And to get all the employees information, so we have to write the logic inside this Typescript file. So let me write that logic inside this ts file. So private, so we need a employee service, so let me employee service, and we need router, right? Private router. Okay, so now, so I'm going to call that employees service get employees method. Okay, so before I'm going to do that, so I need a employees, so I need to initialize this with API response, because this employees, so whatever that employees it will going to return, so that is having like API response, it's going to return the API response. So that is the reason I'm going to take observable. So observable API response. Okay, so that's it. Now, so what we need to do is we have to call that employee service, this dot employee service employee, sorry, spelling mistake. So employee service dot get employees. Okay, so this going to return the all the employees information. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward. So let me save this information and check whether our table is working or not. So we got the empty table because we haven't integrated with the Spring Boot project. That is the reason it is showing empty table. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create this sample Spring Boot CRUD API to get the data here. So once I will get the data, I'm going to add update functionality as well. Okay, so to do this we need a Spring initializer. So let me open the Spring initializer to create the project. So let me create one simple project. So that is, I'm going to take package as Angular and Spring Boot CRUD demo, and so I'm going to add few dependencies. So that is Spring Web and Lombok for setters and getters, and we need a JPA dependency to work with Hibernate and JPA, and we need a MySQL driver, okay, to integrate with MySQL. So these are the few dependencies are required to integrate with this MySQL database. So you can generate this project, you can import it to your ID. So I'm going to use Intelli's ID. I already imported this project. Let me create the model object. So inside model package, I'm going to create the employee model class. So this model class will have private integer ID and private string name, private string email, and so this will have int phone, and we will have string department. So now we need a Lombok data, and we need a no arguments constructor, and we need a all arguments constructor to get all these constructor and setters and getters. So we need a table, okay, annotation, and we need a entity annotation, and finally we have to generate the id. So that id will have a generated value, and the generated value strategy is auto. Okay, so our model class is ready now. Now we need a repository. Let me create the repository. So inside repository package, I'm going to create employee repository. So this repository, so basically this is not a class, so this is interface, sorry for that. So let me create that interface again. So employee repository. Okay, this employee repository should extend our JPA repository. So that JPA repository will expect our employee model class and our ID type is integer. That's it. So let me annotate with repository. So that's it. So finally we need a controller. So let me create controller, new Java class. So inside controller package, I'm going to create employee controller. That's it. So this employee controller will have like all the CRUD operations that I'm going to create. So it's going to take a lot of time, guys, because it's common for every application. So I think you guys will have a good idea about that. So to save this time, I'm just copy paste this. So we need to import this employee repository, and let me import this employee class as well. So resource not found exception. So I will explain so one by one. So employee dot set name, employee dot get name. So it's okay. So let me comment this. I will explain later. Example, Angular 8. Angular dot controller. Okay, so that's it. So this controller will have an employee repository. This employee repository I'm going to initialize with auto void, and we have a add employee method, so which will expect employee. Okay, so that employee we are going to pass from the Angular 8. So this is a request body, and we have a post mapping. So this URL should match with our Angular 8 CRUD operations URL that we have provided in employee service.ts file, and we have a get mapping. So we have, so whenever you want to get the list of employees, so we will use get mapping. So that get mapping will have, So this employee repository dot find all method, so this will return the list of employees. Okay, and finally if you want to search like specific employee id, so through the path variable we will pass the id of that employee, and we will get it by using employee repository dot find id to pass this specific employee id. So if the id is not found, we'll just throw the resource not found exception. So this resource dot exception, we have http status is not found. Okay, it's pretty straightforward, and we are just returning this response entity. Okay, so if it is not found, so we are just throwing this exception. And we have like update employee. So to update that particular employee information, we just pass that particular employee id information through this path variable, and we have a request body to set that employee's information. We are just passing the employee details. Okay, and we are finding that employee by using this employee repository dot find id. So once we get it this employee, we are just setting that. So whatever that modifying that employee's information, I'm just setting that data, and I'm just returning that updated employee. That's it. And finally we have a deleted employee. So that deleted employee, so we will pass through this employee's id. So that id we will pass through this path variable, and we will find it by using find by id. So if the id is not found, so we'll throw the resource not found exception. So by using this id, I'm just deleting. Okay, so by using this employee repository delete, we have a delete method, so we will delete this particular employee. So I'm just putting that response in response. That's it. I'm just taking map as a response. I'm just putting that whatever that employees is deleted, I'm just returning that response. So the one thing is it is not setting the data. So let me, okay, so I have used this Lombok, but it is not generated that particular employees information. I'm not sure. So let me click and generate that project. Okay, let me comment this. So let me run this project. So once it is built, so we can see whether it's working or not. So we will test it. So it's successfully ran this project. So let me so it's not working, guys. So not sure what's went wrong. So let me delete this data, and let me add setters and getters here. Setters and getters. Okay, so now our array is gone now because we have setters and getters. And to connect with this Angular project, we need a cross origin. Okay, so by using this cross origin, so it is a server and client communication, so it will connect with Angular applications. Okay, and after that we have a REST controller, and we have a request mapping. So that request mapping will have a API and employees. So that post mapping is employees. So this URL should match with our Angular base URL. Okay, so that's it. So our project is ready now. So let me start this project, and once before I'm going to start this project, so let me open this application.yaml file. So here we have a Spring data source related properties. We have a driver class name, MySQL driver I'm going to use, and we have a username and the password, and we have a URL. I'm going to use the local host, and this is the database name. Okay, and so we have some Hibernate related DDL properties. So I'm going to use the update. So if the database is not there, so it's going to create if already it is available, it's going to update that database, so it's going to use that same database. And we have dialect information and source school as true. That's it. Now I'm going to start this project. Okay, so let's start this and see whether it's working or not. So because our Angular project also is started, so now, so if it is Spring Boot project is working fine, then we will get it the data and the employees list table. So let's see like whether it's working or not. So it started successfully, guys. So now let me open our Angular project and just refresh this. So we are not getting data. Okay, so let me inspect this element and see what kind of error it is getting. So open this console and just click. We are not getting any error. Okay, so let's check this and let me open controls. So let me restart this, see whether it's throwing any errors or not, because it has to be get the data from the database. So if the data is not available, I'm not sure whether it's okay. Let me clear this and see my SQL username, root, password. Okay, show databases. So our database is start. I think we don't have any data. So use our database is Spring Boot DB and show tables and use employee. Sorry, select star from employee. So we have two employees. So these are the existing data, right? So that is the reason it is showing that. Okay. So open this code and this dot employee service dot get employees. This should assign with. I forgot to add assign to this dot employees, because so that is the reason it's not showing guys. So let me, yeah, so now we got the data. Okay, so we have to add the logic for the delete employee. Okay, so let me open this HTML file. So we have a delete employee function here, so it's passing this employee ID, so we will get it that employee ID from there. So let me write that functionality here. Okay, so this will get the employee ID from that file, right? So I'm going to take ID as number here, and now so this dot employee service is needed. So employee service dot delete employee, which will expect ID, and after that I'm going to subscribe this data. Okay, so that whatever the data I have subscribed, I'm going to print this. So let me write console.log, okay, and inside that I'm going to write the data. Okay. And after that, so we need this dot. So we have to initialize whatever the data we have deleted. So let me this dot employee service dot, and so we have to get it the employees. Once it is deleted, again we have to get it the fresh employees data from the database. So that's what I'm doing here, and it's created now. Okay, so now, so let me print the error as well. So that error, so I'm going to print here. Okay, So that's it, guys. So it's throwing errors. Yes. Yeah, so our delete functionality is also ready now. So let me check the delete functionality as well. So let me delete this employee. So it's deleted successfully, but we haven't tested the add employee. So let me test this. Tom gmail.com and phone some number and department is IT. Let me submit this. Yeah, so it's added successfully. So we got it this record. Now, so whenever you click this edit details, it has to be get that employees information and we have to update that information over there. So let me open our code and let me add. So navigation here. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add app module.ts, not here, app routing modules. So here I'm going to add so one more path, so that is update, so our id, and the component is update employee list component. Okay, update employee component that I'm going to call here. Okay, so in the employees list, what I'm going to do is, so we have a update employee component. I'm just passing the employee id. Okay, so that, so we have added that path into this update id and we are calling update employee component. So this will have, so employee component.html, right? So this html we have update employee works, right? So this should print now. So let me check this. It's not working. Update id. Okay, so app routing module.ts. So we have an app routing module.ts file. We have this update and update employee component also is there. Okay, that's pretty good. And so let me check this. So yeah, so let me open this list ts file. So this file will have a update employee component, because whatever that, yeah, so we have a, yeah, so we have this update employee, right? So I'm going to call this function, so update employee. So this update employee have a id. So this is going to call this dot router. I'm going to call router here to navigate to update employee. So let me navigate this, so which will have update, sorry, update, and so we are passing id, right? So let me pass id as well. So that's it. So this id not here. So yeah, okay, that's it. Let me save this and test this update. Yeah, so we are able to edit the details. So now what we need to do is we have to add the logic, so to update that particular employee information. Once we have edited that particular employee's information, so you have to update that employee information, then you can update it by using this update functionality that I'm going to write here. So open this update employee. So now, so this is same as create employees information. So let me copy this code and paste here. So just change this name as, not this one, sorry guys. So create employee component HTML file. So update So this is as same as create employee. So let me update this. So this won't have submitted button. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward. And so this will have update related functionality in the TypeScript file, so that I'm going to write here. So let me open our TypeScript file, and so here we have to add so that unsubmitted functionality here. So let me write that unsubmitted functionality. So before that, so we need to initialize few things. One is ID. That employee ID that we are passing to this update the employees, so that ID I'm getting through this get employee by ID, and by using that get employee, so by using that ID I'm just getting the data, I'm just initializing with the data. Okay, and whatever the data I'm getting, so I'm just printing here, and I'm just driving after updating that employees, I'm just navigating to this employees information. Okay, so in the HTML it is throwing the error. So let's see what kind of error it is. I think we have deleted the div, right? So that is the reason it is throwing the error. So let me save these two files and see whether it's working or not. So it won't take much time, guys, because we have, yeah, see now, so we got the, so let's edit this. We got this updated employees data here. Okay, so let's say I'm just updating this employee data. Shailesh employee ideas .gmail.com. Okay, let me submit this. It's updated successfully. Okay, so updated functionality as well, it's working fine now. So what I need to do is I have to add the data table to this table. Okay, Angular data table, I'm going to add this. Okay, so what we need to do is we have to add like so data table related stuff here. So I have already, so we need to run few commands, npm commands, to get the data table in our Angular project. Okay, so let me stop this and clear this console and paste here. Okay, so it's going to take like a couple of minutes. Let's wait for that, because it's going to initialize data tables in our Angular project, and it's going to import the data table models in our Angular project. So once it is added to that project, so we have to initialize the data table in our Angular project. Okay, that's it. Yeah, now data tables are successfully imported into this Angular project. Sorry, so let me clear this console, and we have to add JS and CSS file related to the data table here. So in Angular.json file, so let me add. Let me open this Angular.json file. Okay, so here we need to add Angular, okay, data table CSS file, and we need to add JS file as well. Okay, so that's it. So we have added CSS and JS files to this Angular.json file, and the next thing is we have to import that data table into our app module.ts file, because that is a okay module. So import from Angular data tables. Okay, so data tables module, so you can import here data tables model. Okay, so that's it. So now we are ready to add this data table into our employees list. So basically, like, we have to add that data table in our employees list component.html file. Okay, so what we need to do is, so first of all, like, we have to add the data table stuff in HTML file, and after that we have to add in TypeScript file. So in employee list file, so we have a table, right? So this table should be displayed with data table, right? So let me add that. So here we need to add one class. So that class will have display, and I'm going to take ID. So that ID is, so you can take any ID. So I'm just taking ID as an example. Okay, otherwise you can take ID as data table example. Okay, so that's it. You can save this, and after that we have to add the code in TypeScript file. Okay, let me open the TypeScript file. So here, so we have to add that information in the onInit method. Okay, so whenever that data table gets initialized, so then only that data table will be displayed on that employees table. So let me add that code. So what we need to do is, so here I'm going to use the jQuery. Okay, so we have a multiple ways to add the data table, so it depends on your requirement, guys. So it's up to you how you are going to add this. So let me add jQuery stuff. Okay, so our data table example is ID, and I'm going to write data table. Okay, so that's it. Save this, and let me ng serve and start this and see whether it's working or not. So now it's going to load this data tables related modules. So that is the reason, like, it's taking time, guys. Otherwise it won't take much time. So employees list, see here. So this is the data table, but the format is not good. Okay, so let me format this code because it's look very bad. So what I need to do is, instead of the display, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that. Now let's add cell spacing here. Cell spacing. Okay, so which is I'm going to take as 0, and let's save this and test this. Now it's not working. Okay, so there is no comma. Okay, so looks somewhat better, but still we need to do some format. I think I have added this margin, so that is the reason like getting that format error. So let me remove this, guys, and let's save this and see. So it looks okay, but so we need to get the page numbers, but we are not getting. Open this ts file, and so here, so let me add the function here. So that function, okay, inside that function I'm going to add this code, and let me, okay, and so this is the function that I'm going to add here. Okay, that's it. Let's save this and see whether it's working or not. Okay, now we got the page numbers. Okay, so let me add more data and see it's working or not. Okay, so it's added successfully. Now